With me today is author Mary G. Thompson, and I'm just thrilled to have her on Cult Pop today. Mary is the author of Wolf Tomb and Escape from the Pipe Men, two YA novels that are just fantastic, and I'm so happy to have Mary on the show. We were fortunate enough to catch up at this year's Confusion, and she had expressed interest in being on the show, read the books, just adored them, and I'm just thrilled to have Mary on today. Mary, thanks so much for being on Cult Pop today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, let's jump right in, Mary, and we've got two books to talk about. One, Wolf Tomb, we're going to jump right in, is already out, and Wolf Tomb is about a young man, Evan, who modern society, science, everything thinks he's sick, but really there's almost a transformation or metamorphosis going on with him. And the book I just absolutely loved. I'm going to ask you later about young adult and what classifies something as young adult, but I loved it. It had great elements of horror, great almost H.P. Lovecraft-esque stuff in some ways, and just a really, really fun ride. Can you please tell us a little bit about Wolf Tomb today?
Well, with Tomb, like you said, it's about a boy named Evan who's been sick for about 2 years. And nobody knows what's happening to him except for him because this creature visits him at night and tells him, "You're becoming one of us." And as the book goes on, he learns more about these creatures, and he gets a visit from another creature called the Vitfly, who's an enemy of the Wolf Tomb, and he gets sort of a devil's bargain from the Vitfly.
One of the things I thought was really neat is the Wolf Tomb creature is this, I guess, wormy type creature, and I think it's not going too far to say he does become kind of friends. They're kind of like allies and friends, and he's warning them that this metamorphosis is what's going on, and this is what he's changing into. The science isn't right. When he gets the meeting with the other people, they kind of make him an offer that he thinks is the right thing to do, when really he's doing horrible things to the Wolf Tomb, and he's also hurting himself in the process. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, one of the things that really interests me and that I love doing with this book is playing with perspective. So at the beginning, Evan sees the Wolf Tomb as this disgusting creature who it's this horrible proposition that he's going to be turning into this creature that lives in the sewer and looks disgusting. But as he gets to know them, he starts to understand their perspective. And so, yeah, at first, the Vitflies seem to have the answer for him because they're the enemies of the Wolf Tomb, but it turns out to not be that simple. Which, even though, of course, it's a fantastical situation, I think it's sort of a little bit of a metaphor for what we experience in real life, because once you get to know somebody, it's always a lot more difficult to discount who they are and where they're coming from.
I really enjoyed the book, and when I finished reading it, I passed it on to a friend of mine, and he was reading, and that's kind of where I got that. He finished it off in one day. He said, "Wow, this is really amazing," and we were talking about it, and it's almost as if it's like for young people, it's almost like a primer to get people ready for horror of H.P. Lovecraft and stuff, because I just absolutely adored the creatures and the problems and what he had to face, but there were so many fun elements. I wanted to know, for a lot of people at home that don't know YA, young adult, what is the demographic? Obviously, it's young adults, but why did you choose this genre, I guess, and tell us a little bit about writing for kids and writing for this age group?
Well, I picked this genre not because I had any particular thoughts about writing for kids, but just because I still like to read books for kids as an adult, because oftentimes they have the opportunity to be a lot more imaginative and just go in crazy weird places, whereas I feel like a lot of times adult books have to stick a little bit more to real life, and you lose the opportunity to have some of the fun that you have in YA. So, I mean, traditionally you think of YA basically based on the age of the character. So if the character is a kid, then it's considered YA. Of course, I think YA is for everybody because I personally still love the imaginative elements that you get to have.
Well, I just find, the only thing that I thought it was a great book, well written. It spoke to me. The only difference I find in the YA is basically a limit on bad language, I guess, for lack of a better term, and nudity and sex really isn't mentioned up that much. But I just sometimes get confused because, yeah, if Evan was 22 as opposed to a youngster, it wouldn't be considered YA, and I just find that funny. And one thing while looking it up and talking with a couple of other author friends, I guess YA books sell so much better, and you're also getting the market ready down the line for if just half of these people that read your book continue to read, you're cultivating a whole new market of readers.
Well, I mean, reading for kids, obviously it sets you up to read for a lifetime. That's certainly what happened to me. So, yeah, it's a gateway drug.
Now, Wolf Tomb, I wanted to mention that's out now, and we wanted to talk about it first because it's out in hardcover. Just as people get to see this, it will also be coming out in paperback, and it's also available on the Amazon Kindle and all that great stuff. But talk about, this is your first book. Talk about the pride, and this is kind of your first baby. So tell me a little bit about the excitement, because you've got great reviews, you've gotten nice feedback, great press. Talk about the pride in this first book.
Well, I love the experience of writing my first book because I didn't have any constraints really. I didn't have an agent, or I wasn't involved in publishing, so I got to just write whatever I wanted without worrying about whether it was going to sell or what was going to happen to it. So I just got to dig in and just write what popped into my mind. And yeah, I mean, to finally see it on the bookshelves, it's been a fantastic experience. I never really believed that it would happen when I was writing it. I was kind of just writing for the sake of writing. And yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
Now, something I like to ask a lot of authors, and especially since I met you at a convention, I'm going to ask you this question. What do you think about the feedback that you receive when you go to a genre convention and you get these fans that come up to you and are all excited and want the book autographed and stuff? There's all kinds of other things going on, of course, with your interaction with other authors and the great feedback and things and how it can cultivate ideas. But tell me about the interaction with fans and how that's been in regards to your two novels.
Well, because it's a middle grade or a young adult book, unfortunately, I don't get to meet a lot of the kids who are reading it in their school libraries and stuff. I do love, whenever somebody tells me that they like it, it just makes my day, really.
Cool, cool. Okay, well, I want to reiterate that just as people will be watching this, the paperback version's coming out, and I hope they go to their favorite bookseller and pick up the paperback version. And while they're looking at that, they can also pick up the hardback. As you're watching this, you will be able to pre-order and get ready to order Escape from the Pipemen, and that'll be coming out, I believe, June 11th of 2013, so right down the road here. And let's talk a little bit about that novel. Why don't you give us kind of a brief synopsis of that one?
Okay, well, Escape from the Pipeman is much lighter than Wolf Tomb. This was my opportunity to write about something that I would have loved to happen to me. It's about some kids who get to go on a space travel adventure. They've grown up in an alien zoo, so they don't even really know that much about Earth. They have a house on Earth, but they go through their closet every day and go through a portal to this alien world where they live most of their lives. Something happens where they have to leave that planet and go travel to different planets and meet different aliens and have an adventure.
Right. Well, I'm always leery to give too much away because we want you to sell the book, but a misfortune happens with their father, and they're going all across the universe. So it is fun, and for kids, it's going to be an amazing ride. But for adults, it's such a fun ride. And I really got a kick out of the fact that their life was kind of on display in this intergalactic zoo thing. I thought that was pretty fun and a pretty interesting way to start the book. Mary, I really, really love Escape from the Pipemen, and I want to make sure you let the folks at home know what a great book it is. So tell us a little bit more about it and the universe it's set in.
Okay, well, Escape from the Pipemen stars Ryan, who's 13, and his little sister Becky, who's 7. And they live in this world where they are in an alien zoo run by the pipemen, they look like giant drain pipes. And they have a whole bunch of eyes, so everything in the world, if it's a distance, it's probably measured in eyes. So people are so many eyes tall. A pit might be 20 eyes deep. They have their own language, which is the lingua franca of the universe, which some people in the book speak and others don't. Um, let's see. There are so many fun aliens in the book. We have the Zaxor, who's kind of spider-like and doesn't have a mouth. We have the Hotini, who look like giant blue dogs, but they're really like hoity-toity and think they're really awesome.
Yes, they were a lot of fun. Those dog-like creatures. Those are very fun.
Yeah, humorless. There's lots of humor about them, but they themselves are very humorless.
But did you have any influences as a youngster? You said you still read a lot of this stuff, but is there some type of book that really, because I thought it harkened back, it made me think of some books I enjoyed as a youngster, but also more recently, and I'm wondering if you had some influences with the Escape from the Pipe Men in particular.
I don't know if there was a book or an author that particularly influenced this book. I mean, overall, my favorite author when I was a kid was Diana Wynne Jones, and I loved, she had this crazy imagination and she wrote these really interesting books that were different than anything else I'd ever seen. And so, obviously, that's what I aspire to. I think I love science fiction, and I love, like I said, the wildness of what you can do with YA. And man, there's just nothing I would like to do more than travel across the universe. That was probably my biggest influence.
Okay, excellent. Well, traveling is fun around here, and intergalactic travel would be amazing. Escape from the Pipe Men is a really, really fun, quick read. It's going to be something that I can't say enough. I think a lot of adults can share this with their children and kind of have one. I was discussing with a friend of mine, and we were saying how Harry Potter was something that a lot of parents shared with their kids, and the parents really kind of got as much joy out of it as the kids did. This kind of book reminds me of that, and is that kind of the vibe you were going for, where not only can the kids just have a great thrill ride, but if the parents are reading with and getting going, they could read this book also and kind of have a lot of fun discussions?
Yeah, absolutely. There, even though it's this fun adventure and these kids are meeting these aliens, sometimes the aliens are funny. There is this world going on in the background where there's these, all the aliens are after something that the kids have, and there's a little bit of politics going on in the world behind the scenes. So there's, a couple of different levels that people could read it on.
And it's also fun that if parents out there have son and daughter and they kind of fight or whatever, this is a great story about a son and a daughter, brother and sister, getting along because they have to help out their father. So I thought that was pretty neat. And I just really enjoyed that book. So I hope you have a lot of success with it. And I'm wondering, do you have any plans on follow-ups? Both novels that we've talked about today, you could conceivably follow up on. So what's ahead for your future? What are you looking at in regards to Escape from the Pipe Men? Is there something after that with that book, or Wolf Tomb? Is there anything to expect from that, or are you going on a whole different theme the next time out?
Well, I would love to eventually do a sequel to either one of these books. I certainly have plans if I was able to do sequels. Email my publisher, inundate them with emails saying you want sequels. But I do have another book coming out next year. It's called Evil Fairies Love Hair. And that's a fun middle grade adventure about a town full of kids who encounter these little creatures who give them wishes in exchange for growing flocks of their fairies. And the fairies have this ravenous appetite for hair. It's humorous, obviously. I'm really excited about that. That'll be out about a year from now.
All right, cool. When that comes out, we'll certainly bring you on again and discuss that and do all we can to help promote that. But I wanted to go back to an earlier discussion we were talking about, Mary, a little bit, and it's about the YA, because I'm just so intrigued about that. When I go into my neighborhood store, Barnes & Noble or whatever, mine happens to be a Barnes & Noble, but a lot of the different stores I noticed, the YA sections are almost bigger than the sci-fi / fantasy sections. And I really think That's great. I think it's great to get young readers cultivated and stuff. But when I look at your background, and this isn't giving too much away, it's on your books, it's on, when you go to any kind of website to check you out, it talks a little bit about the fact that you were in the U.S. Navy for 5 years and you were an attorney for 7 years. So if I knew somebody had that type of background and somebody said, you're going to interview this author, I would assume it would be some kind of espionage, CIA, Navy, team up for some kind of great thing. And here you write these wonderful YA books. Let's just talk a little bit more about the whole YA situation. And again, because I think a lot of people at home aren't that familiar with it. And I think you're the third or fourth author I've had on that specializes right now in this. So talk a little bit more about it and why you decided to embrace it.
I never, as a reader, saw that much of a difference between adult and YA. I don't think that I really understood that there even was a difference until I became a writer and I was told, well, this book, because it's about a kid, it's YA, and therefore you send it to this publisher or whatever. I really don't even like the distinction because we're just talking about books and books that are good and stories that we like. I think a lot of adults maybe don't realize how good YA books can be because they think that, oh, it's for kids, but we're really just talking about stories that are about kids that kids might like and that adults might like, just like kids like adult science fiction and kids like adult historical fiction and other kind of books. So I think of myself as a writer first, not a YA writer, even though I'm happy to be a YA writer and I definitely embrace being a YA writer as well. But I just hate these distinctions that we make between ourselves. I think it's kind of artificial.
Well, I'm really glad you said that, Mary, because it's funny. I was guilty of not reading certain books that would get rave reviews, and I would read, oh, it's a YA, or and I would miss out on these wonderful books that some got made in film, some didn't. But these people say, oh, you really want to read this, you really want to read this, and I was kind of a snob thinking no, and then I'm fortunate enough over the past few years with Cult Pop to have had some authors on that have embraced it, and they're writing amazing stuff, just like you're writing amazing stuff. And it's just this whole great world out there. So, but I think it's also neat for parents that they can get involved, read something that's really cool, but also then share with their kids and kind of have some fun experiences on that. So I just think it's a really, kick-ass thing when something really speaks to you, which I really enjoyed them. Then it's got to be great for an adult to also be able to share with their children if they have them. So I think that's very cool, but also it's just standalone, excellent stuff. We have a little bit of time left, and I wanted to talk about a few things. Do you want to talk a little bit about your website?
Well, my website, marygthompson.com, it has my books on it. You can contact me through the website. I will be happy to visit your school via Skype if you're not in the New York area. You can get in touch with me about pretty much anything you want.
Now, the website does have for kids, adults, whatever, who might have questions or want to contact you, there's ways to do that throughout the website and stuff. And do you foresee, a lot of people are using their websites as portals for short stories, unpublished works, things like that. Have you thought about in the future, will there be a lot of unpublished stuff and maybe special Easter eggs and stuff on your website so people can read the chapter before the book comes out or things of that nature?
Yeah, I'm definitely open to that. I haven't done any of that yet. I do have a blog on there. I also blog at teenwritersblock.com, which is a group site that I have with some friends of mine who also went to the New School. We blog about YA writing. But yeah, it's definitely something I'm open to. I've seen a lot of people do it, so maybe in the future.
Mary, thanks so much. That's about all the time we have today. I want to thank you so much for being on Cult Pop. I want to wish you continued success. And next year when you have your new novel out, I'd love to have you on again.
Thank you. I'm so happy to have been here.
Okay, we look forward to having you on again. And folks, stay tuned for more Cult Pop. As always, that wraps up another Cult Pop. I thank you so much for watching, folks. Just a couple of friendly reminders. One, I always love it when you go to the website. We really appreciate it. But I've been telling you the past couple episodes, we've now got a presence on Facebook. Jerry has started up a presence on Twitter. So please go to both and like them, follow us on Twitter, please go to the Facebook and like us. And then the Facebook is kind of to just let you know what's going on with the show, but also maybe a guest that's been on the past has a new book out, or an actor is doing something, and we just try to keep people up with some of the goings on with past and future people coming on Cult Pop. Twitter is going to just kind of let you know when new episodes are coming out, etc. And then some really neat news for Cult Pop is that Jerry, who is the master of the website for us, and my director, who does a great job, has really done something cool. All your mobile devices can now get Cult Pop. So if you've got the tablet, cell phone, iPhones, any of that stuff, you can watch Cult Pop and enjoy it wherever you want to enjoy Cult Pop. So we thank you so much for watching. We thank you for following the show. And I'd just like to ask you to please go to Facebook and like that. And if you get a chance, also go to Twitter. And you just have to go to our website, and all that stuff is linked up. So as always, thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And we will see you next time on Cult Pop.